The failure to do an FBI investigation is tantamount to a cover-up. It is, in effect, concealing and hiding evidence, failing to interview Mark Judge, who has relevant details, as she has said today, and she said what those details are. So the White House refusing to order an investigation is tantamount to a cover-up.
Do you think that
Graham says he wants to know why Democrats believe her, but they don't believe Brett Kavanaugh?
She's come forward asking for an FBI investigation with witnesses who can corroborate her story, who should be interviewed under oath. Very few people, if any, come forward and ask for an investigation if they are failing to tell the truth when the penalty is perjury. I believe her because she is so powerful in her demeanor, her details, her precision, and frankly, in stating what she doesn't know. And one more fact, she comes across as incredibly human, as somebody who has endured a lot to be here, who has thought long and hard about whether to come forward, and has done it at great personal cost. Judge Kavanaugh is seeking a promotion. He's seeking a new job.
Do you think that you've convinced, or she's convinced, your Republican colleagues, because Senator Graham still blames you and Democrats think this is a sham?
Well, if it's a sham, it's only because there's no FBI investigation, which we have repeatedly demanded. In fact, we are at a disadvantage, and so is Dr. Blasey Ford, because there has been no trained professional investigation here. And if Judge Kavanaugh really wants to clear his name, as he said on Fox News, he would be pounding the White House door and saying, I want an FBI investigation. I want those additional witnesses to be called and interviewed. I want Mark Judge on the witness stand.
But do you think that it's convinced Republican colleagues, any minds have been changed? Are there any signals that she was effective in that way?
If they have any conscience or convictions about doing the right thing, they will at least postpone this vote until the FBI can investigate, until we can have another hearing with additional witnesses, until we have an opportunity to have more facts and evidence.
Will you listen to Brett Kavanaugh today with an open mind?
I want to hear what he has to say. I have questions about his credibility. The issues for Judge Kavanaugh are going to be concealment and credibility. Why is the White House hiding documents? Why are they refusing an FBI investigation? Why has he made statements that are directly contradicted by facts and evidence, like his high school yearbook? And I'm going to have questions that will go to his credibility.
So, yeah, I know that you and others would like to hear from other witnesses, but is her testimony enough without those other witnesses, for you at least?
I believe Dr. Blasey Ford. I could not, in good conscience, have a vote tomorrow. I certainly could not vote for him. I believe there are strong reasons to vote against him based on his evasive and seemingly misleading answers at his testimony, and because of his overturning Roe v. Wade and creating an imperial presidency and striking down the Affordable Care Act. But
Senator Blumenthal, Democratic member of the Judiciary Committee, taking reporters' questions there in the hallway before they resume the session, running a little behind, but we do expect them to start momentarily.
We've heard from a lot of senators during this break, but not any of the ones who are going to be crucial when it really comes down to brass tacks, Chuck. So lay it out for people who aren't as nerdy as you, living and dying for every political move. Who's it going to come down to?
Well, number one, for the committee vote, Jeff Flake of the undecideds. He's on the Republican of Arizona. He is on the Judiciary Committee. If it is, I believe they have a one-vote margin. So if he voted no, it would mean it would come out. It would mean he would come out of committee without a recommendation. I believe they have the privilege. Mitch McConnell has the privilege of bringing anything to the floor that they want. So it's not like a non-recommendation or even a negative vote. Like even if they lose 2 votes, would somehow stop Kavanaugh from being brought to the floor if the majority leader wanted to bring him
presumably,
forth.
if Flake also then voted against.
That's right. So look, the senators I know I want to hear from, and of course have been very effective at hiding from all of our reporters, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Flake. I'd like to hear from Ben Sass, Shelley Moore Capito. I think, the undecided group.
Senator Corker.
Senator Corker, another one that certainly has his issues with the president, and you don't know what he might do in a moment like this.
You see any red state Democrats who could potentially vote for Kavanaugh?
Look,
after all this?
If you want to just crass political terms, you would look at the two incumbent Democratic red state senators in Indiana and in North Dakota. I don't imagine that Heidi Heitkamp is going to be somebody that's now going to be comfortable voting for him, but we don't know, and her opponent has sort of stepped in it a few times in how he's handled this moment. Joe Donnelly, yesterday, the Democratic senator from Indiana, incumbent, he's in a tough race. He already said he still has an open mind on Judge Kavanaugh. So he sits out there, and so he is one that I think is certainly truly on the fence on the Democrats.
Just a word. If I'm not mistaken, Senator Blumenthal just said that she has witnesses who can corroborate her story. That is not true. It just isn't true, and this remains one of the main problems.
I think he added some weasel words. I think what he was saying is maybe corroborative if they were under oath. I think he was. I heard the same thing as you. I thought, what corroborating witnesses? But perhaps he's trying to say
there are witnesses,
Mark Judge if put under oath.
There are witnesses, friends who, since 16, 17, 18, say she told me that she was assaulted when she was younger by a federal judge. But just because I tell you this happened to me doesn't make you a corroborating witness to its truth.
No, and in point of fact, the names she supplied all say it didn't happen.
Or they weren't there and don't know.
I heard the same thing as you did and thought the same thing, but I wondered, well, gosh, is he trying to indicate that if Mark Judge, who allegedly was in the room, if he were put under oath, under pain of perjury, would he say a different thing? I think that's what he was getting at.
I want to make one other point here about the Democrats in this respect. I think that the toughest thing that they have to defend here is this idea that they waited so long. She didn't want to testify in front of the public. She didn't want to do this sounds like she didn't want to do this to Judge Kavanaugh's family, knowing what this could end up doing. And the Democrats have to answer, this is not an easy thing for her, but you could make an argument that if they not drag their feet, maybe she didn't have to be in this position. That's just...
Grassley was trying to point out.
He has, and he hasn't pointed it out very well. If you're on Judge Kavanaugh's side, you wish he were better at pointing that out. But that has always been. Again, it's not about her. It's about how the Democrats handled this. It's still, I don't think, politically that much more helpful to the Republicans, big picture-wise. But that's something that Democrats need to answer.
Worth remembering that her name became public because somebody on a Democratic staff leaked it.
For political purposes, obviously, they were trying to sink his nomination. And they'll say it was to save the Republic. The Republicans believe it was something very different. But that's why the right half of the country, the Republican half of the country, is looking at this saying, the standard's got to be really high for her to persuade me at this late hour in the day, the Democrats to persuade me at this late hour in the day, that this guy is some sort of a sexual assaulter, right? And what they're asking for is some sort of proof, some sort of corroboration. So far, what we have is her word, and the question is that enough?
Well, I think we get